All right. This is so exciting. So we are all back and we are also, get comfortable here. We are also hitting a much larger audience now. So we're going to be working with my other channel, some of my other channels online. And like for example, on my last YouTube. So this will be really our first YouTube live, and it's also going to Facebook live right now also. So we're hitting two at one. And so first of all, we're very excited to be here with you. And I also want to introduce my sweetheart, Jasmine Kaisa Rose. Rose.
Hi everyone.
So if you're watching on Facebook, you're obviously familiar with us. YouTube, I have not put a lot on there, and I am very excited to be spending a little bit more time with the live, with other videos, and there's a lot that has been in the works since my awakening. Took a solid year to integrate, um, and then I took another year and a half, where we were really exploring, actually just actively doing lots of deep healing work for the
Integration.
collective, some really deep trauma work that we were working on. So that brings us up to about now. And
What are we going to get into today?
yeah, so what are we going to get into today? My last YouTube video was actually with my friend Daniela, who you know, and she interviewed me, and we discussed a little bit about, well, she actually asked the Akashic records what were relevant questions, and I did my answer to them. And they're essentially around masculine feminine relationship and what is the healthiness, like what is healthy in there, how do we show up, how do we behave, and all that stuff. So I'm super excited about all the workshops and courses that we will be doing in some of those areas, obviously. But we also have to step back a little bit. How does this relate to the overall goal here, which is heaven on earth? Right? Because we want bliss, happiness, and fun.
Yeah.
My favorite video in our last on YouTube, you didn't see it, but our last Facebook video, we had a moment where we were enacting being little angels flying. That was my favorite part in all of our videos thus far. I think we have to have a little angel float in every video. So,
But to get to heaven on earth, we have to have happy, healthy, wholesome families and
you know what?
relationships.
I like that. Let's talk a little bit about that because you were reviewing some of the Gene Keys stuff today, and they had a quote. I wish I had it written down, but they were basically saying that the future of humanity is it's a specific gene. You remember which Gene Key we were reading?
No.
But they were saying in it that the future humanity is built off of happy, healthy families, essentially, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I would say so.
And that's in alignment with the Ringing Cedars books also. I mean, if you think of it, so the way Anastasia in the Ringing Cedars books just talks about it, and so if you don't know about the Ringing Cedars books, I'm a huge fan, and my work is in large part built off of her work also, and that is basically creating spaces for families to to flourish, to flourish and thrive. And so that takes us into questions of what then are those conditions. And Anastasia says that the most important condition is to create a space where love can thrive.
Yeah.
You would agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree.
And I think it's probably a little bit beyond to fully digest that in this video. Like, what are those conditions? Suffice it to say that learning about love and what are the conditions that love wants is a hugely important topic. And I think a big part of it is nature. a big part of it is fresh air, clean water, um, plenty of space to move around and all that stuff. If you're in a cramped city apartment, it's going to be really hard to feel like you're a sovereign being. I mean, it's just super simple, and you're getting Wi-Fi all day long and all this stuff. So there's lots of problems with that model, and that's a lot of people strive for that actually. So we're actually presenting a very practical model for moving forward with creating heaven on earth, and that is a very um, lifestyle. It's a lifestyle that's very in harmony with nature. Um, Research is constantly coming about all the benefits of the natural world. It's humanity is waking up every day. More and more people are waking up to natural ways of healthcare and all that stuff, right?
Do you want to get into the consciousness of heaven on earth and then how that applies in this transition? And
Um, so actually, I want to dive into you a little bit more.
okay.
So we have, a gorgeous woman here. I feel so blessed that you're willing to, share yourself with the world right now, and in general, you have made this movement in humanity your life mission and path. Can you share a little bit about that? And if you need, some support and guidance, let me know. But what you're interested in, why are you interested in this ascension for humanity? Is there something personal about this for you, or why does that interest you?
Well, it interests me because of all the jewels and gems that my soul gets for being a part of this. It is meaningful to me because I love God and I love life. And I said yes to being a part of the ascension process here and what it meant
Okay.
throughout time and space for many other civilizations
Mm-hmm.
and for work that I want to continue doing as a soul on other planetary systems after this, and for my love of Sophia Gaia, and because I know God's heart and how God feels about humanity, and I think we've talked a little bit about this and understanding how well what exactly has happened with the galactic wars and why the situation is the way it is on Earth right now, and what it even means to embody sovereignty, to be a way shower, to not argue for the limitations of humanity, but help others grow in their spiritual maturity and understand what's possible in terms of co-creation and knowing God, having that relationship with God, an authentic relationship, having their divine genome reactivated, and all the blessings that can come from that.
Well, that was the full answer. Awesome. So it sounds like that it's a deep, heartfelt desire of yours.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm very into, like, the essence of my work is a lot of play, fun, and love. Like I'm all about it. But it sounds like, and I know it, like, for you, I know that there's obviously lots of high points in your journey and stuff. But I also know that there's been lots of low points also, right? It's not all hasn't always been fun and hunky dory, right?
No, and I don't think it is really for many light workers. Like as they start remembering and understanding why they're here, what they came to be a part of, it's not a fun. It's not always like unicorns and rainbows. Even though we know that that's a possibility, and we would like
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
to create that and implement the divine will and the divine plan. But actually, that actual process of doing that became a lot more complicated than we realized.
I think that that's really the truth. So I love that you said that because I think that's the truth for a lot of light workers right now. They're like, this is more work than I really
Yeah.
want, like there's a lot of struggle, right? And
Mhm.
so I think that's something I think we both really want to support people with. So we do courses. We're going to be releasing a lot more. I'm very excited to release one specifically for men, and we're going to be doing one specifically for women. We'll be doing group one. We're going to do all kind of different flavors. So feel free to reach out to us if you're interested.
Yeah.
But we really want people to, first of all, not feel alone in all of it. We really need to understand how interconnected and how, yeah, I think that like the healing, so much healing happens from just realizing you're not alone in it. I mean, how many great songs are like based off of that? You know, we know that like something about that we are not alone in our pain, that somebody has seen, you know, in your greatest moments of misery, and you have them, and like
The compassionate
the,
witnessing.
yeah, like when I think there's something about being seen in our suffering that helps um spread it, I guess,
Mhm.
and even heal it. And even now, you know, I like, so I want, let's take another angle on this. So there's lots of different abilities different light workers have, and you have a particular affinity with, like, lots of the different ascended masters, having, you know, been one yourself multiple times, I'm sure. But sometimes we enter in and we specifically forget those to go through a very human journey, and so that's when it's really uncomfortable and stuff like that. But I know you have a strong affinity with like Kuan Yin, right? And Kuan Yin is like a very like transmutation with her tears and stuff, right? So you definitely have that, that superpower. But how does that work for transmutation, like your tears and crying? Because I know like men, they tend to, well, not men, but it's more like, I when I'm clearing energy for people, I do it more like a kind of a purging type of a thing. But
Mhm.
I've seen a lot more women, they will tend to default more towards kind of a crying, kind of like weeping embodiment, feeling the depth of something.
Hmm.
Do you
Yeah.
resonate with that?
Mhm.
So yeah, men and women, they tend to release and clear in slightly different ways, but not everybody knows why it's important for us to even be clearing and releasing stuff, right? Would you agree with that?
Mhm.
Do you want to share anything about your thoughts on that?
You can start. I can chime in.
Okay. Well, I know it's very important that as we go through life, we accumulate a lot of stuff, and these could be ideas, they're beliefs, it could be material, it could be relationships, things that you pick up psychically, energetically, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And as you evolve, sometimes some of those things no longer are serving you, right? Let's say this cup. Picking up this cup for a while, and you drink all the liquid out of it. Now, like, what am I going to do with the cup? And you're walking and you want to go for a run. It's like you got to carry the cup and you're running, you know? And that's where some of these more spiritual teachings around, say, attachment and stuff like that come in, and identity of your being, you know. When I had the unlocking of my soul, it what drove me to through that process, what really drove me into that desire, because there was a desire. I had to use my choice. And the choice I was confronted with was like, I really wanted to bring heaven on earth here. And I was so fed up with all these other strategies. I had to go so deep within myself to find um, something that for the answers, you know, like to find out why this, and the question that's confronting me is, are you ready to see who you are? And I was like,
Mhm.
I'm ready. Like I have explored so many other paths, and everything is just not working. I need some serious, I need some things, because it's just not, it wasn't working at that time. And I, as much as I wanted to be creating these ecological communities, which is one of my main projects, creating eco communities or eco neighborhoods around the world, is my main large project. So we're always looking for investors in that, and people that want to be part of that. So feel free to reach out around that. But I wasn't having clarity, success, or I didn't have the strength to pull it all together. And so I had to go so deep within myself, and I was totally so shocked at what I found. I was like, very, I was like, that did not see that. Nobody, none of my friends saw that coming. None of my family definitely did not see that coming. Even my mother birthed me out of her own body. It was like, she's, she obviously still does struggles. I mean, that's not really her thing. They're a very different consciousness. That's not their area. And you can imagine. So this is where it comes into attachment of like identity and things like, I was willing to put down this identity of who I thought, not just who I thought I was, but who everybody else thought I was. And as you grow and as you evolve, that has to change. And I have some examples that I like to use, and I'll probably develop this more in courses and stuff, but I'll just touch on it a little bit. It feels okay to touch on it a little bit now, but one of them is just like, let's see. Like when you're a baby, right? Then you eventually become a toddler. And people don't treat the toddler as if they're a baby, right? In fact, even the name, you're a toddler or you're a baby, is a different identity. So that shift in itself is born from non-attachment. It's born from understanding. What's beneath attachment part? Understanding what's happening. This child is growing, so we call them a different name, and they have a different role, and they do different things. People assume that when you're an adult, you stay the same, and now you're just, it's like, no.
Well, if you're not evolving, and I think that inward journey that you described is a testament to your soul power and what you've cultivated. So I think that talking about is very inspiring because you can be a way shower and show why that is worthwhile.
Well, I think the issue right now is that there's lots of people that are going to be going through similar experiences at different degrees. Obviously, not everybody's going to be going through the same degree that maybe I would or will be willing to, or maybe even you or whatever it is. But
it's an expansion of consciousness, an expansion of awareness. It's introspection too, and it is a sacred journey between you and God as well. And it takes a lot of courage because you have to navigate fear and understand fear and face programming, face identity crisis, right? And you have to have a deep enough reason to do all of that.
I agree.
And unfortunately, many people, they don't get out ahead of it. They wait till it's unbearable before they want to open a little bit more.
Yeah, I like what you said about that. They don't get ahead of it. I think that's one of the things that's going to help everybody right now is that there's enough people that are putting this information out that more options are being consciously known. Like if you know that there's like more options, like let's say you have this old hunky-dory computer, and it's like if you realize that there's other nicer computers out there and you have a little extra cash, you could have one. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with life and lifestyle and your beliefs and thought process. We're like, there's so many better, more advanced ways to view the world, to live your life, to take care of yourself. These are options and you get to choose. And if you have a little extra, you can invest your time and energy and adopt some. And they just is like,
well, you have to have enough soul wisdom to even do that.
Yeah. So, and then there's the divine alignment around things also.
So I think a key point is that when we help other people in terms of facilitating an ascension and facilitating a spiritual awakening, we're giving them an experience first of their divinity and taking them to higher aspects of truth. And when you taste that and you touch into that, you can't really undo that because that is a complete shift of identity and a shift where you're forced to experience truth. And then from truth, I think it's easier when we're working from that and then we work from the soul down. It's easier then to clear out belief system or to understand what blockages are there or where the trip ups in consciousness are. So I feel like that is a good strategy and that can bring a lot of peace because it is available. And knowing that there's nothing wrong with you to need support with that, and having a guide for navigating the fear and and doing that, like you don't want to be alone in that. And there's a lot of resistance to it because we'll always say the powers that be and like the conditioning and the pain of the reality. There's so much heartbreak in that. And then
when you find out what is going on and
yeah,
stuff like that.
And then how do you process that? How do you rebuilding that trust? And then also even the intention, discovering, like being willing to look at yourself.
Yeah.
I think a lot of light workers, we get really heartbroken at how, like, actually so many people don't have good intentions.
That is the biggest shock for so many light workers. Like, everybody just doesn't want to spread love, light, and rainbows. There's actually people who intentionally don't.
Yeah.
That's always a shock. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go back and forth with people on that just because in a much larger understanding, any malicious intent is still, to me, a unconscious intent.
Yes.
Because it is not in alignment with everything. Yeah. You're hurting yourself at some level. You're creating problems for yourself. It's not a workable intention. But there are people very for sure at that level. And you need to protect yourself and honor yourself and make sure that you're respecting everything about you so that you're not buying into.
And I mean, that's a huge self-mastery practice. I mean, we both teach about that and we coach on that. And psychic protection, dark arts training, understanding how to navigate multidimensionality. I mean, it is an art and requires mastery. And then it requires having your own back, and then also really having good people around and having that support system. That's really the only way to really add momentum and acceleration. And what else do you want to add to that?
I love it. Yeah.
And purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many topics I think that we want to dive into, and they're also interconnected. There's the fear topic and how we could go with that. There's the relationships and how that has to do with like the masculine feminine polarity with the new earth and 5D relation. We talked a little bit on some of that in some of our Facebook videos thus far.
And then understanding even how reality works,
understanding reality is a whole another topic.
Yeah, but once it's a lot at first, but it's most empowering because then you can play at a different playing field where you actually have a chance. It's like learning to play chess.
I would say just a little bit about the reality thing, and this is something that I think people just don't get. It's not even talked about, and let's see if I can understand it. This gets into the structure of the universe by how I view it, which can be a little different than other people. I think I'm going to get into this in my membership site. I'm going to have more info on this to be able to comprehend it a little bit more. I don't get super in depth in some of the specifics that some people do, but I do have some areas that are very clear to me.
In terms of what?
How reality is structured.
And why is that advantageous to learn about or know about?
Well, the first thing I wanted to say about it, though, and I'll leave some of it for the membership site stuff, but the first thing is that this reality, like some people go, my reality and stuff. I tend to, you can talk about it like that, but understanding what is real and lasting is important.
What's everlasting?
Yeah, what is like what is what lasts, what is persistent. Um this is really good for people to put their mind towards because it gives you more peace. You find something that's stable in your mindset, like because ideas are changing. They're it's like software, it's always changing. It's just like moving around furniture in your house. You can redo it a million different ways, but there are some things that actually are more stable than that. And when you start understanding those types of things and those types of consciousness that is more stable, you'll be so much happier.
Yeah, and it takes away a lot of the trust issues, the
Yeah.
trusting the process issues. Um, so yeah, it is actually very relevant in that sense. It gives you a stronger foundation from from our platform to launch off.
And whenever you find yourself in a time of lots of change like we are in right now, this is a really good time for people to start figuring out what is lasting, what sticks around, what is real. Because if you can understand what is real, what is true, okay, truth and reality right there together,
Yeah.
okay?
But also, I think that that is very interconnected with divine purpose and understanding the divine will, which we both really empower our clients with because you need to know what's your part and you need to know who you are, and then you understand your unique puzzle piece,
Yeah.
and it makes navigating life way easier and
Mhm.
understanding the nuances of it and the ebbs, the flows, the expansion, the contractions, and yes, part of that is understanding truth too.
Mhm. But I always come back to that's a very long journey. Like we're constantly going to be learning about that well beyond, well, of course, across the course of our entire soul's evolution. But
But it's more important now because of the polarity and the times we're
yeah,
living in. It's like almost it forces you into looking at some of those areas, and I think that ties back into like what is sin, and then what are the
mhm.
consequences of us not doing that or doing
So
that.
on my YouTube channel, I have a video on what is sin, actually, and I love that video because I think there's a lot of confusion for people about that, and
Yeah, and because once you know and then you don't do anything about it, it is on you. There is a lot more grace when you're at a particular place where you just don't know. But once you are exposed to truth and what is actually God's understanding or desire, and then you choose with your free will to go against that or to deny that, um, there are greater repercussions for that in a way. That's why
yeah.
people don't want to grow because there's responsibility to
Well,
that.
yeah, the way I look at it is a little bit more fundamental, and it's very simple. And this is where it's like people, it to me, the way I look at it is usually it's like it's a very generous way of looking at it. And not everybody likes it, but I really prefer to look at it like if somebody is doing something they quote unquote shouldn't, it's truly because they still don't really know a better way to do it.
That's true. I do like that. I
I
think that
really, I
understanding is very
really like that
helpful.
way. Again,
Soften
that brings us
into.
back to that doesn't mean I put myself at the risk or in the hands of someone who is not responsible.
Yeah.
Okay, that's super important, especially important for lots of women out there. If you are seeing guys around, they're not caring for you, they're not kind to you.
We don't want to enable another.
That's
That's
your responsibility to take care of yourself. Get out, get going, get going. You know what I'm saying? But in the case of like your life, it's really important for you to take time to be in a state of curiosity. We were talking about that in our Facebook last video. Curiosity and how important that is. That's when we can have the door open to new ways of living. and it is the antidote to fear, truly, curiosity. And you brought up the curiosity killed the cat thing, and that's just, to me, that's not a viable rationale to not have
The exploration.
to not have curiosity. It's like the answer to solving that conundrum of, well, why did curiosity kill the cat? It's like, and you solve it, and you realize that there was nothing there. There's no reason. That's just a statement, and it's not based on anything. I see. It's like cats are great. That has it's just like a mind thing. It's a mind trap. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. So, curiosity, I'm a big fan of it, and we're gonna get more into depth with some of the things. We're just still figuring out what we want to do on which platform and how people can interact with us. And we're very interested in respect. We really don't want to spend time with people who are not having proper respect with us. We are very interested in helping people, but do not mistake us for little pushovers, because that's totally giving you the wrong.
You will discover the wrath.
You will discover the wrath. You're gonna get, yeah, you will. So we want to really prepare people to even know how to interact with us, because I promise you our consciousness is very different, and we hold ourselves to a very different type of conduct and standards, and you're probably not used to it. Just super honest, you're probably not used, and that's why we're going to be creating more pre-made courses that we're not even interacting directly with us, that you're just getting a chance to kind of figure stuff out and how it works. Because look, it's not let me say this, it's not a personal statement attacking anybody. It's just there's a lot of conditioning people go through, and we've spent lots of time taking off that conditioning, and we have a lot of respect for the people that are in it, and we really have a lot of respect for what it took to get out of it for ourselves. And we want to help you, but we also want to enjoy our life in the way that we worked to do so. And we want to help you. We want to help lots of people, but we have to honor ourselves. And that is also what we're teaching people: how to honor yourself, how to respect yourself, how is communication happen. I'm going to get into this in some video, I promise you, and probably soon, but I can't even tell you how many guys that I meet are just, they think that sexual jokes with their women are as funny, and I'm about to punch them in the face. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, I'm done. I'm like, I'm not interested in it. The goddess is very sacred, and she brings so many gifts to the world. So I love that. Doesn't mean we can't have laugh and play and fun. We're not meant to be like harsh figures, but there's a certain amount in certain types and areas of respect. And even, what does respect mean? And so these are the questions that we got to go through, and there's a lot of education and learning about all these things. And what is the result of all of this? You and your life is so much happier, healthier. There's so many guys and even women out there that are like, well, women, I mean, I've met women also, that like, they don't know how to interact with people in a respectful way, and they don't know how to interact with themselves in a respectful way. And so, if they can't do that, well, then they're probably not going to be having very, healthy relationships with people around you. If you're not having a healthy relationship with yourself, you cannot have a healthy relationship with other people either. So people are wondering, how do I get into that awesome relationship? I've been dreaming about it for all my life. I just want to be in that amazing relationship. And I like to get into more of the granular, like the technical, how is this actually going to happen? And how are you going to do this? Because it is 100% possible. You can't have it. In fact, it is inevitable. It's just a question of how long and how much pain you're going to go through in the process.
Yeah, but you have to be willing, and you have to be sincere in that.
Well, life will break you down. And then, I mean, it could be thousands and thousands of years, but life will destroy you. There's no question about it. Life will, 100% guaranteed. No questions about it, will destroy you until it's not really submit, but you understand that there is a direction in life, and there is lots of other possibilities, and you can try to go against the direction of life and God's will, but it's just not going to happen. It just is 100% not. It's that significant. So we get into topics about God and life and divinity, and these are all nuanced, very delicate, spiritual, practical, and profound topics.
Yeah.
And they have to be held with a lot of sacredness because
Yes.
everybody has different mindset and beliefs and situations. There's so many different types of people that have lived so many different lives in the world, and we really will only be able to connect with a certain group. But those people then might be able to interact with the next tier out. So it's our hope to help lots of people, but it's a journey.
Yeah. And we love the challenge based on our souls and who we are. We love the challenge and using our gifts and our mastery to accelerate.
Got the shivers from that. Okay, yeah,
To
go ahead.
accelerate the trauma healing for other people. That is something that we can do and offer grace.
We do.
Well, we do. But we definitely do want to be respected and honored and seen and heard around that, and we're very discerning about who we bless and who we work with,
and are blessed by in turn.
Yes,
we really feel that whenever we're working with somebody, we also get like so much. We're very we love working with people,
because it's something worthwhile to do, and that's valuable.
And getting to know somebody at those levels is
and
very
to connect.
beautiful.
It's an intimate thing. It's a heart thing, a soul thing.
Yeah, you're always lit up whenever you're usually after a session.
And usually when you're in your divine purpose, you do get lit up. It's meant to do that. That's God's way. It would be this prospering of all in all ways. And we want to go back to those organic systems and structures and help people.
Don't panic.
Yeah, help people, help people navigate that, because it is scary. Yeah. It definitely is scary because... Well, do you want to explain why it's so scary for most of humanity?
Well, it's the change, and I think we're kind of coming to the end of our video here, but I do think that there's just a lot of fear out there right now, and we did want to touch on that a little bit in this video, and that's the change. It's something new, and when people are used to living in a certain way, they assume that way is the safest, healthiest way. And it's not. Yeah. That is not the truth.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's actually I tell those people, and I get into this in coaching stuff, but it can often be sometimes when you're not, you have to stay aware. You have to stay awake because the world is constantly changing.
And that's a daily spiritual practice moment.
So if the world's changing, you stay doing the same thing, well, that could be a problem, right? So that's why we have to stay aware and awake and awoke and in touch with what's happening. We do that through our feelings.
Yeah, and really it is evolving from intellect into heart and higher heart understandings and activations. Well, we can get into that in another video, because I would really want to do justice on that topic about empathy and compassion and what is the language of the heart.
Well, that sounds good though for today, right? Yeah. Well, thank you guys all for joining us. It was a delight, and we're very excited to spend more time with everybody. And for the moment, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.